don't want him near you, my dearest son. And I don't have any doubt that he was the one who shot Victoriano. If you had listened to me, Vicente, you would still be alive. No. You wouldn't dare tell Emiliano.
Then don't try me.
No, don't come in! Victoriano! Victoriano, get me out of here! Victoriano!
He said that you hired me to get revenge on him.
Try your best just to meditate quick, Lord. Oh man, not telling her to dancing. I'm ding, Papa Michigan, tell her say, glory, glory to the Master. Come on, help me shout His name. Can we press out free? Free, we got to be free.
Hallelujah be to the Most High God for giving me strength to praise His name. So I'm gonna preach the gospel of God.
I must apologize, 'cause I'm so sorry to treat you so cruel. All whatever's wrong, seemed I was only playing.
Can the deep state influence elections in Kenya? The IEBC thinks otherwise. So you have that detail as regards the IEBC's preparation for the 2022 general election in a bulletin tonight, as well as the drought situation in the country then continues to get dire. And speaking about it on Extra Mile tonight, we are engaging Charles Owino, the former police spokesperson, now the deputy director at the Kenyan National Focal Point on Small Arms and Light Weapons at the National Police Service. And that is the conversation we'll be having tonight. And we're talking about his legacy in the police service, but most importantly, his gubernatorial ambition for Siaya County. That is coming up a little bit later on Extra Mile, but first things first.
Our problems now remain external problems which we have, and which a number of them are yet to be addressed by our external stakeholders.
Don't be swayed by deep state narrative. IEBC promises credible 2022 general election, even as it decries poor funding.
Sure, the affected counties and the people, particularly the most vulnerable families, that the government of Kenya will not spare any effort or resource in this response to ensure we cushion them against the devastating effects of this drought.
Responding to the distressed north, government releases 2 billion shillings for food supplements and pasture. And seeking to unmask the COVID-19 billionaires, a report by the National Assembly Committee wants former KEMSA board chairperson Gitura investigated. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is John Jacob KIoria. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Ann Wangeshi. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has cited political interference and budget cuts as major drawbacks in their efforts to hold credible elections. Chairman Wafula Chebukati, however, insists they will uphold electoral integrity in next year's polls.
During a meeting with faith-based organizations to discuss areas of collaboration for the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise to be rolled out in October, Chebukati called on religious groups to take the lead in mobilizing eligible Kenyan voters to register and promote peace during the electioneering period.
Legal reforms must be completed at least by December this year. If we have amendments to the law late in the day, it will affect our election operation plan. So any amendments that complement our election operation plan must be done by December this year if they complement our election operation plan.
You hold a massive population in this country, and your voice is very important. So we are looking at you that you will help us mobilize to get people to register as voters.
Chebukati cited political interference and budget cuts as major challenges that undermine the Commission's credibility.
Our budget is 40.9 billion shillings, and yet the allocation we have been given is 26.5 billion. So, as a Commission, we are then exposed to the risk of underfunding.
While excluding confidence in conducting a credible election, Chebukati called for candid discussions on challenges facing the country.
Politicians and political parties always try to undermine the independence of the Commission during the elections and engage in false accusations of the Commission and its staff, thereby bending and damaging the image of the Commission well before elections are held.
The Commission is training constituency election coordinators and constituency administrative assistants who will then train registration clerks in enhanced continuous voter registration exercise. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Prime Edition.
Let's now focus on the drought situation in the country, and Treasury has released 2 billion shillings towards drought mitigation as directed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa says the government will continue with the relief food supply and cash transfers to the families in the worst hit counties.
On Wednesday, Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa flagged off 32,000 bags of animal feeds to aid Kenyans facing drought in the country. The CS naming Wajir, Garissa, Mandera and Isiolo as the worst hit counties.
As we speak, 5 counties have gone into the alarm stage, meaning the drought is worsening with time. One of the biggest challenges is lack of water. Because of the failure of the short rains in October, December, and the long rains in March to May, we have no water in most of these areas for the animals and the residents affected.
To cushion the affected families and their livestock, Wamalwa says that the government had released 2 billion shillings to help the affected. So far, 1.5 billion shillings has been disbursed to the affected families through cash transfers.
Assure the affected counties and the people, particularly the most vulnerable families, that the government of Kenya will not spare any effort or resource in this response to ensure we cushion them against the devastating effects of this drought.
The livestock is the backbone of the pastoralist communities. And the main source of their incomes and livelihoods. Therefore, the really focus of our support as FAO in the context of the UN family to respond to the pastoral and the agro-pastoral communities and their immediate needs in terms of feed for their animals.
The United Nations and the European Union is set to boost Kenya's efforts to cushion families by donating 500 million shillings each, with China expected to donate rice.
Most of this food will ensure is transported immediately to the most affected counties.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
And now in an interesting development, the National Assembly Public Investment Committee, PIC, once former Kenya Medical Supplies Authority chairperson Kembi Gitura investigated for his role in the 7.8 billion shillings COVID-19 supplies scandal. The National Assembly Watchdog Committee probing the scandal also wants the Assets and Recovery Agency to recover monies paid to suppliers who inflated prices of items supplied to KEMSA, as Kevin Oshira now reports.
Almost 1 year after the impropriety in the acquisition of 7.8 billion shilling COVID-19 equipment, the National Assembly Public Investment Committee has tabled its report. The Watchdog Committee wants the EACC to investigate the KEMSA board on the role it played during the procurement of the COVID-19 items. MPs want the anti-graft body to probe the alleged interference by former chairperson Kembi Gitura and former board member Joel Gesuka on the award of commitment letters to 2 suppliers.
We should not allow payments, first of all, for those who have not been paid, and even those who have been paid. These figures will now have to be relooked at. And we have all the evidence. We've provided everything in the report, which the EACC can be able to use and the DPP can be able to use.
In the report tabled Wednesday, the Watchdog Committee want a multi-agency team from the government to probe the whole procurement process of the COVID-19 items. The report further implicates KEMSA's suspended CEO, Jonah Manjari, for signing commitment letters, an instrument not recognized in law, the Director of Procurement, Charles Juma, and Director of Finance, Waiganjo Karanja, for illegalities in awarding and payment of tenders.
There was we also took the responses from the presidential force team that had been put into place, you remember, regarding the COVID matters. So we looked at them, and this country can be able, if this report is going to be approved, this country can be able to save billions of shillings, and we don't necessarily have to lose.
Kevin Washira, Prime Edition.
Not a sad story where 5 more bodies have been retrieved from Lake Victoria at the Homa Bay Pier, raising the total number of confirmed fatalities in the Tuesday boat tragedy to 7. The recovery mission, which is being conducted by the Maritime and Coast Guards, assisted by local fishermen, is expected to end by close of business Thursday. And as Simon Achola reports, questions have been raised over the safety of passengers using the vessels for travel between mainland and the islands.
Emotional scenes as this man receives and identifies the body of his mother that has just been retrieved from the lake. A few meters away, religious leaders are deep in prayer, hopeful that the bodies which sank to the bottom of the lake can float to hasten the much needed closure. 7 people have been confirmed dead, while the fate of 3 others remain unknown.
But we are still here with the whole team. Like I say, we brought in Kenya Maritime Authority yesterday. They arrived in the evening. Kenya Coast Guard are also there. The local fishermen have also volunteered helping with the search. So it's quite a large team, and I trust and believe that between today and the last day, as normally, it is a normally cumbersome exercise. It can take from 1 day to 4 days, 5 days. So we'll camp here until everybody is taken care of.
Statistics from the Maritime Authority indicate that at least 5,000 people die in the lake each year. While many factors will be at play, maritime officials say most lake users rarely put on the life jackets, which are mandatory requirement before venturing into the lake.
This is a jacket that will keep you afloat as long as it takes, and nobody will lose life. We may lose cargo can be bought, but we cannot replace life as a country, no.
The safety of some boats is also a concern. The government wants all lake users to adhere to the set rules and regulations.
This duty is not for me as Kenya Maritime Authority, it's for all of us, up to including the people who come to the market. You see an overloaded boat too much, please use your courtesy as a human being who value life. Ndugu, umejaza ya kutosha, wache wengine, boti ingine itabeba. Hiyo mzigo umebeba, usiweke watu wengine. It's for all of us, including all the BMU leadership. in the entire country, not only Lake Victoria.
The rescue centers funded by the African Development Bank are currently being constructed to make it simpler to rescue people in times of tragedies such as this one. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Homa Bay County.
And our condolences, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation fraternity, to the bereaved families. Let's do some politics now. And Deputy President William Ruto has assured members of the United Democratic Alliance Party of fair nominations in next year's general election. Ruto says all aspirants seeking to fly the party's flag for various positions should engage the voters directly. The Deputy President has assured those seeking the UDA party ticket in the 2022 general election of free and fair nominations in April next year, when all parties are required to conduct their primary.
Kila mtu atapata opportunity katika hii chama ya UDA. Tutakuwa na free, fair, democratic nominations. Kila mtu apate nafasi.
Ruto called on the aspirants to engage the voters directly, as he would not have a say in the process.
Na wenye kuamua nani atakuwa cheo gani, nani atawania MCA, MP, wa mama county, senator, governor, wote wananchi wenyewe ndio wenye usemi wa mwisho. You don't have to be a friend of nobody. You don't have to know nobody. You only need to know the voter.
His allies accusing a section of the political leadership in the country of advancing sectarian politics through political parties.
Hiyo chama ambaye imeletwa, I don't know ni chama ama ni nini, inaitwa upya. Hiyo kitu sisi tumeikemea.
I am very convinced that for the first time in the history of our post-independence Kenya, we have the best candidate to move Kenya to a first world country. 2022 presidency will not be delivered by ethnic chieftains. It will be delivered by ordinary mwananchi. It will be delivered by hustlers. It will be delivered by young people like yourself.
The Deputy President, who met with youth from northeastern counties and Kiambu County, told the group that his bottom-up economic model will guarantee opportunities for all.
Up until we have a deliberate policy framework and deliberate programs that will deliver opportunity for young people in our nation to work or do business, it is not going to be business as usual until we have clarity.
And still in politics and in Kirinyaga County, the governor, Owino, has given the strongest hint just yet as she may quit the Jubilee Party for the United Democratic Alliance. Speaking in Mwea, Owino said she is keen on obeying the wishes of her constituents, even if it means gravitating towards the Deputy President's camp.
Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru now says she'll heed to the call of area residents to ditch the Jubilee Party and defend her seat on the United Democratic Alliance party ticket.
Munataka nikuje na chama gani huku Kirinyaga? Nikuje na chama gani huku Kirinyaga? Nikikuja na hiyo chama mtanirudisha? Wangapi watanirudisha kwa kiti ya 2022?
Waiguru has been seen to be gravitating away from Jubilee following the defeat of the Building Bridges initiative. Waiguru has in the meantime taken a swipe at Nat Kenya Party leader Martha Karua over the recent inroads into the cracks of Mount Kenya politics.
Kuna dada yangu mwingine ambaye niliangusha mwaka wa 2017, si ndio? Alikuwa amekuja tungangangana nikamwangusha. Sasa nasikia anarudi. Ati anataka kiti ya governor ya 2017. Munataka nimwambie nini? Nimwambie nini? Nimwambie pumzike?
Meanwhile, Baringo Senator Gideon Moi now says the decision to front KANU's flag bearer in the 2022 general election will squarely be decided by the KANU National Delegates Conference scheduled for the 30th of September.
Delegates wataitwa Nairobi, tukutane na ni delegates ya chama chetu cha KANU ambao wataamua ile njia ambayo KANU itafuata kwa kura ya 2022.
Kwa nasema Gideon atakimbia urais. Gideon afanyi. Gideon, mlisikia mambo mengi sio? lakini ametulia tu, amekimya na ngoja time.
Speaking in Kwale County, where he met over 300 KANU delegates, Moi said at the moment Okoa Kenya partners are strengthening their respective parties ahead of the general election. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mongai.
To another sad story tonight, Nakuru-based Dr. James Gakara, suspected of killing his 2 children last Saturday, has died while receiving treatment at Nakuru Level 5 Hospital. Gakara was last weekend found unconscious alongside his 2 children in their Milimani estate home in Nakuru. Police suspect the children were injected with lethal substances. Nakuru County Police Commander Beatrice Karagori said the physician had attempted to commit suicide. Gakara's widow, Winnie Othiambo, is admitted to the Nakuru Level 5 Hospital in the high dependency unit after she collapsed upon learning of her husband's demise.
Na mimi najua yeye ni mpenda familia yake sana, anapenda mke wake na anapenda watoto wake sana. So jambo kuu ambalo liliweza kutenda yeye kufanya ama huenda kama ni yeye alifanya jambo kama hili hatujaelewa.
Even Winnie herself, her prayer was that her husband gets better so that she can know what really happened. Because even in that day, they were just chatting, they were just normal, and they've been working together.
All right, it's time for us to take our very first breather on Prime Edition. But don't forget, we have more news lined up for you, including business with Karo Jenga, as well as sports with Richard Mwanga. But before then, an interview you don't want to miss with Charles Owino Wahongo, the former police spokesperson, now deputy director at the Kenya National Focal Point on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Let's talk about his legacy in the police service, but most importantly, that declaration that he's going to square it out with the likes of Orengo James, Nicholas Gumbo in the Siaya gubernatorial by-election. Don't go too far.
Finance and for commerce and industry have paid short but valuable visits to India, and a group of your businessmen came here a few months ago. By encouraging sound habits of thrift so that people, by their savings, are better able to help themselves. Your bank has a great part to play in the expansion of trade between our countries.
Najua una wasiwasi na Badi, lakini hata yeye wakati wake utafika na nitamweka chini kama vile babake na dadake.
Una hakika?
Na bahati sana mume wangu hayuko, angekuwa mngenipigia saluti kuanzia getini mpaka huku ndani.
Nani babako hapa?
Kombo, wamtukana mgeni na maneno makali namna hiyo?
Haya si yako eh?
Kwa hivyo mtoto ndio shida.
Malezi ni ya watu wawili. Kuna shida yote akiwa na wewe?
Your Majesty, it was the Empress Mother that ordered it done. Or else I wouldn't have dared. That's a lie.
After what he said in court, I think most officials won't believe that. It's you behind this thing.
Hold on. You must hang in there. We'll arrive at the nunnery soon. They said there's a doctor there. I'm sure she'll cure you. Hang on. Just hang on, brother. Hurry! Faster!
If you keep messing around like this, I'm afraid you'll end up in jail again. Dr. Han, watch out!
Kupitia uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta,
serikali imewekeza zaidi katika ukarabati na upanuzi wa miradi ya unyunyiziaji maji mashamba kote nchini. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
we must empower our farmers with the information necessary to increase their output, reduce their unit cost of production, and therefore significantly improve returns on their investment.
Zamani tulikuwa tunapewa msaada wa chakula, na siku hizi tunajitegemea sisi wenyewe.
Wametupatia kitu ya muhimu ambayo hakitakwisha. Kitu tutaendelea kuvuna, kila wakati tutaendelea kuvuna kutoka kwa hayo maji.
All right, it's time for that very important conversation on Extra Mile. Like I said, we're speaking to Charles Owino Wahongo. He's the former police spokesperson and now the Deputy Director at Kenya National Focal Point on Small Arms and Light Weapons, who, by the way, started his career, communication career, at KBC. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
How are you doing?
I'm well. Yes.
Good. First of all, tell us, this unit that you're Deputy Director to, established in the year 2003, what exactly does it deal with?
I would want to avoid talking about police matters.
Okay.
The police has a spokesperson. I don't want to get into somebody's job. I would want to talk about myself and about my ambition.
But you have a job?
Yes.
Currently?
I have.
Yeah.
And I'm preparing to leave the service as a formality.
All right.
Because when I'm supposed to retire at age 60, but I'm opting to retire before that, 9 years before that. And the reason being that I have an ambition to get to a different line. I've served enough, and I'm allowed by law to retire at under the 50-year rule. I'm now 51, and therefore I'm only required to give a 2 months notice to leave. And I said this quite early in preparation for my departure from the service.
All right.
So I would not want to discuss service matters. I would only want to discuss about myself and about my ambition.
All right.
Remember, I still have about 2 or so months to leave. So I don't want to contradict the ethics regulations on matters of Chapter 6 that can easily complicate my future on some of these issues. Because if we start indulging on my work, I can talk about my work, but not what I'm doing currently.
Not what you're doing currently?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's begin with the year you joined the police service. Before we talk about how you rose through the ranks.
Yes.
When did you join the police service?
I joined the police service in October 1992.
1992.
Yes. I'm now 29 years old in service. Yes.
The lowest grade of in the police at the entry stage?
Yeah, we were joining as constables.
Okay.
All of us. Yes.
And how has your journey then been? Because so many people only relate with Charles Owino, the spokesman we used to see on television every other day. There's an issue.
It's okay. When I cleared my college, I was posted to Railways and Ports Police.
Okay.
So I was posted to Nakuru Railways police station. So I worked for about a year. Then I got an opportunity to attend an elementary investigations course at the CID training school. And I went to the CID training school when I was just 1 year old in service. And I think I performed well. I was the best student then. Then I got an opportunity to join criminal investigations department. So I joined criminal investigations department and worked in several parts of the country. And most importantly is I became an instructor at the CID training school, and I taught for about 4 or 5 years. Then I went back to Mombasa as in charge of operations CID. Then later I was moved from CID around 2004 and posted as deputy OSPD Turkana. I didn't stay there. I went to Kitale as staff officer administration. Then I went to Kericho as the OCS Kericho police station. Then I got promoted to become a superintendent around 2006. Then after that, I was posted as a staff officer in charge of railway police again. And then when I was there, then I started running programs in KBC, Know Your Policeman, on behalf of the police. Then in 2007, I was posted to be deputy spokesperson. I deputized Eric Raide for quite some time. And in 2012, Eric left and was attached at Kenya Airports Authority. So I took over from him. So I remained the spokesperson. We went through the elections in 2013. End of 2013, I was moved again. I went to Njoro, I went to Ndewa, I went to Kisumu. Then I came back in 2015 again as the spokesperson. So I've risen all this time to the level of Assistant Inspector General, which I was promoted in 2017 early. That's when I became an Assistant Inspector
Quite
General.
interesting, and you talk about this time when from spokesman you posted then to Njoro and Diwa and then Kisumu, and you've spoken personally about it, and at one point attributing it to your alleged or perceived association with politics.
No. It had nothing to do with that. It was a normal transfer. Yes.
You have not said before that your perceived association has costed you something?
No. Because whom was I associated with? Actually, I'm in a very awkward position politically because a number of people branded me a government person, which is true. I am. When you are a civil servant, you must remain a civil servant. Actually, if you follow the communication now, how my opponents are trying to talk, because I've not left. Once I leave in December, then I'll face them what we call omundu humundu. For now, I have to be quiet and do my things in the right way. But I've never associated with any politician or any political affiliation. I've remained a civil servant. I've purely defended and protected the work of police, and I'm very proud to be a policeman. In fact, I'm quite proud to be a policeman, and I believe this is one of the best opportunities I ever got in my life. I'll never regret having been a policeman.
I was asking that question.
For association, no, I've never associated.
I was asking that question because you've mentioned it here. That sometimes you're perceived to be government, and your government indeed.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the last election, probably even in the year 2017.
Yes.
We even saw politicians in public podiums almost go directly for you.
Yes. At that point, they had to go for me because I was the police spokesperson. And being the police spokesperson, I used to articulate police issues. I want to give you a very simple example. The community where I come from has been agitators for a very long time. We've never had a person from our community maybe running government. Equally to so many of the communities in Kenya, it is not only our community actually. And then what happened was, especially you can remember during demonstrations, the constitution is clear that when you are every person has a right to demonstrate, to picket, and to assemble peacefully and unarmed. But as you know it, many a times when you are peaceful and unarmed, maybe nobody will listen to you. So you find agitators tend to do things contrary to the law. And when you do things contrary to the law, then you have to face the full force of the law. For example, if you go burning cars along Uhuru Highway, you don't know that you are burning your mother's car, you don't know that you are burning your father's car, isn't it? You just go out to burn vehicles. Now, the moment you do that, there are a section of the community who must be protected, because the role of the police is to protect life and even the properties and maintain law and order. So at that stage, sina rafiki. Yes.
That is
at that stage, sina rafiki. And I don't regret it. I can tell you specifically, because policemen are officers of the law. And as long as I'm a policeman, even if it is my father who is on the wrong side, then that is the position. So I've remained candid. I've remained respectful to my service, because that is what has made me to be what I am. But equally, I have a private life. I have I cannot be a policeman forever unless I die in service. But if you have life and you have an opportunity to live, then that is, it's just, for example, it looks very awkward for very many people to hear a policeman saying, oh, I want to become a member of parliament. As we speak today, we have many police officers in parliament. In fact, some of them left the service as constables, and they are in parliament. I even have, for example, one of our officers who just left. He retired as a chief inspector. Not retired, actually. He had not reached the retirement age, but he left, resigned, and he's a member. So we have so many policemen who are members of parliament. And even before, we had one of our colleagues who was a deputy commissioner of police, who was in charge of Police College Kiganjo. His name was Mr. Ngutu. He was a deputy commissioner. He became the MP for Kangundo, and he became Minister for Internal Security. My level today is higher than the level of a deputy commissioner.
All right.
And therefore, you find it that people find it very strange that, see, people leave their professions. People are engineers, lawyers. So I don't understand why it is an issue.
You do nothing different.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that in a bit. But let's talk about your legacy as the National Police Service spokesman.
Yes.
What do you think will shape your legacy as a spokesman? Because your critics say sometimes you defended police even when there were clear abuses of human rights.
You know, police is not an individual. Police is a service. I've always said that even a bishop, if you're a bishop, not Catholic, Catholics don't marry, they are celibates. But if you're a bishop in SEK or other denominations that marry, it doesn't mean you cannot have a child who is a robber. One of your children can be. That does not make you stop to be a bishop. Now, what happens is we are a population of 120,000. One officer may make a mistake. Just like you've seen a doctor in the news it's alleged that he killed his kids, and he has also now died, alleged that he has committed suicide. Fine, investigators will tell us. But if that is true, you cannot say doctors are bad people. They kill their children. Are you getting me? So even policemen, if a policeman makes a mistake, he kills someone, he's a robber, he's dealt with as an individual. The police is the only institution where we don't take collective responsibility. You take individual responsibility.
Okay.
So when you come and say we are defending the police even when they are violating human rights, it's not true. It's, for example, we are in a community and your uncle has killed another person, or another relative has killed another one. You cannot say this community is for murderers. The police has a big role to maintain law and order, and we must respect them. And we must give them an opportunity to protect us. So this idea of branding them, giving them a bad name, is not right. They do a very difficult job. If, for example, you look at my boss today, the gentleman takes responsibility of everything. He does not sleep. He has no life. He works for the country. So if you wake up today to go and attack him for another officer who has done a wrong thing, you will be demoralizing the gentleman. So what I'm saying is that, yes, I had a role to play. I had a role to protect Kenyans and a role to protect the policemen. Because those policemen who have not made a mistake, why are you condemning them? Why wouldn't you want your policeman to have a good name? Because it is said, when I want to give you a bad name, even when you're not a thief, and I start calling you, John is a thief, tomorrow we say you are a thief, then that will be your name, isn't it?
All right.
So I have the officer in charge of speaking for police today, Mr. Bruno, has a right to defend those policemen, especially those who have not committed any offense. And that is your duty. And remember, it is a PR. It's the director in charge of corporate affairs. So I don't regret it. I like it. I loved my job, and I don't regret. And nobody can challenge me that what I did was not right.
Okay. All right.
I did the right thing.
Fair enough.
Yes.
The skills you've gathered over time in the police service, how will they help you in managing the affairs of Siaya County? For example, if you're elected as governor?
You know, the most important thing is management. How do you manage the affairs of of your county. It is a government. We have two levels of government, the national government and the county government. The same way the government is run. And remember, as a policeman, we fall under the executive wing of the government. The police, when I always say it's the tool of the executive, people say it's not a good word, but we work for the executive, and that gives us an opportunity. We are amongst very few people who allegedly work for 24 hours. None of us wakes up after 5. We start waking up at 3, at 4, and the latest a policeman who is going on duty in the morning can wake up is at 4, because as a manager we have to receive morning call-ups from all over. As long as from the level of an OCS, the level of an OSPD going up, you must wake up at that hour, get to know what has happened in your area, and brief your bosses. But for the purpose of county management, our county government, our county CIA, there's a lot that maybe you will read in my manifesto. My manifesto is not written by a third party, it's written by me, and it is an inherent manifesto. Because what I'm looking at is the background where we came from. Poor backgrounds. Some of us having lost their fathers very early. So you remain with your mother and you see what she does. And I look at where we were as children in the 70s, when there was a lot of food, and where we are today. Because in the 70s, I don't think in my village, we had people who could go hungry. But then we look at where we are today, where people go hungry. So you'll find that my first priority would be ensuring that there's food security. But this also goes on my background because I'm a farmer. Despite the fact that I've been a policeman, I've been involved in farming. I'm a big fish farmer. I farm vegetables, I farm chicken, I farm all sorts of food items that people require. And my major priority is to ensure that there's food security, that there's enough. And on top of having what is enough is to ensure that these individuals have money in their pockets and have food on the table. Actually, my slogan is ugali on the table and money in the pocket. So ugali that on the table, and money on the pocket. So that even if you just plant maharagwe and you plant viazi and you plant mihogo, these are items that you can sell, get money, put in your pocket. You can also eat it. So we are fighting for food sufficiency. So that would be my first priority. And given my background as a farmer and also given my background as a policeman, because I'm a hands-on person, there will be no shortcut for people. And we will move from that level because CI is very rich. You remember we have Lake Victoria. We have a lot of fish. My county has a very big lake, apart from Lake Victoria, Lake Kanyaboli. We have one of the biggest swamp, the Yala swamp. We have big chunks of land. If you go to Bondo, we have very big land which is still bushy, which can do very well in fruits. We have big land in Uyoma, which can do a lot of cotton. We have good weather in game, which can do a lot of dairy. So what's happening is that we sit on a gold mine in Siaya. So my duty will be only to develop the county. And on top of it, I just want to tell you very quickly that we as Siaya people, we have some of the best brains. We have the best doctors. I know you may have so many doctors from your place, but when it comes to quality, we have the best. We have the best professors. We have the best teachers. Even the best policemen. So what I can tell you is that we have a lot to manage our country. And that's exactly what I want to do, to push Siaya from a certain level to a slightly higher level. I've developed myself as an individual. And I believe the way I've managed my affairs and the way I've developed myself, I'm able to develop my community.
Thank you very much. But Director General, I'm sure once you resign in the month of December,
I'm not resigning.
The formal...
I'm not resigning.
You are...
I'm retiring
from the service.
I'll be subject to my pension. But what I would like to say is, when I've left, you will have an opportunity to sit me here and discuss with me politics. But for now, for the purpose of Chapter 6 of the Constitution, it's important that you protect my legacy, so that when I leave peacefully and I don't offend anyone.
Okay, Charles Owino was with us tonight, vying for governor in Siaya County. And of course, you've heard about his legacy as a police spokesman, and says, I have no regrets. That's why we wind up Extra Mile. Carol Jenga is up next with business.
Najua una wasiwasi na Badi, lakini hata yeye wakati wake utafika, na nitamweka chini kama vile babake na dadake.
Una hakika?
Na bahati sana.
Mume wangu hayuko, angekuwa mngenipigia saluti kuanzia getini mpaka huku ndani.
Nani babako hapa?
Kombo, wamtukana mgeni na maneno makali namna hiyo?
Haya si yako.
Kwa hivyo mtoto ndio shida.
Malezi ni ya watu wawili. Kuna shida yote akiwa na wewe?
Your Majesty, it was the Empress Mother that ordered it done. Or else I wouldn't have dared.
That's a lie.
After what he said in court, I think most officials won't believe that it's you behind this thing.
Hold on. You must hang in there. We'll arrive at the nunnery soon. They said there's a doctor there. I'm sure she'll cure you. Hang on. Just hang on, brother. Hurry! Faster!
If you keep messing around like this, I'm afraid you'll end up in jail again. Dr. Han, watch out!
Good to have you back. We now focus on matters of business. My name is Carol Jenga. You will not be required to present a certificate of good conduct, KIoria certificate of compliance, IEBC clearance, HELB clearance form, and credit reference bureau clearance when applying for a job if the Employment Amendment Bill 2019 is enacted into law in its current form. Members of the National Assembly debating the amendment bill argued that job seekers are compelled to spend so much on acquiring these documents to apply for jobs, yet they are not guaranteed employment. About 800,000 graduates from institutions of higher learning enter the labor market every year, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Those applying for jobs have to contend with rigorous requirements, such as presenting a certificate of good conduct, HELB clearance, KIoria certificate of compliance, IEBC clearance, credit reference bureau clearance to be shortlisted for an interview.
These documents are required to be attached to the application forms. So at that stage, the young man or woman doesn't know whether he or she will get a job. Just to go for the interview, or even not to even be called for the interview, yet they have gone through this rigorous process through which they even borrow money, because a majority of it is alluded to by the mover.
And Madam Speaker, you even realize that there are some graduates who leave universities and institutions of higher learning even without their own certificates, Madam Speaker, simply probably because they have not cleared school fees. You know, they are in arrears at school, Madam Speaker, and then they have to face the job market to look for jobs, Madam Speaker.
Processing of compliance or clearance certificate by relevant entities should be automated in order to facilitate the acquisition of such documents and reduce attendant cost of manual processing of such documents.
The Employment Amendment Bill currently being debated by the members of Parliament seeks to simplify the job application process by amending Section 9 of the Employment Act to compel employers to carry out background checks on employees after employing them. They said job seekers are subjected to a rigorous process, yet they are not guaranteed of employment.
We want a process whereby our youth are not locked out of the jobs even before they are interviewed.
What this bill is saying and what I support is that young people who seek employment and are guaranteed, Madam Speaker, that there is a likelihood of being employed, they should be allowed to be employed first, Madam Speaker, and even get at least even 3 months, Madam Speaker, so that at least there you're also, saving your money and also ensuring that you have this job first, Madam Speaker, before you go back to your institution of learning, Madam Speaker, or the university to look for this documentation.
Now, 14 sanitizer brands have been pulled out of the market for failing to meet quality standards. The Kenya Bureau of Standards, KEBS, says the brands were flagged after an assessment on 47 brands collected from the market during routine surveillance.
You could be using a substandard sanitizer, exposing yourself to COVID-19 risks if findings by the Kenya Bureau of Standards is anything to go by. In a routine assessment on sanitizer brands in the Kenyan market, the standards body has flagged 30% of the products being sold as being substandard and a risk to users. KEP says the non-compliant brands that have now been recalled from the market are Blue King, Shocker, Jet, Kaida Care, My Choice, Safe Touch, Afia and Lab Care. Others are Aroma, Apocan, Clear Hands, Camley, Jams Shield and Sari. KEBS clarifies that the announcement is not meant to outlaw the sanitizer brands from the market, but rather a temporary suspension for compliance. The standards body has instructed the affected brands to institute effective corrective actions, whose effectiveness shall be confirmed by KEBS before resumption of production and placement of the brands in the market. Noting that they have intensified market surveillance and monitoring activities, the Kenya Bureau of Standards is urging the public to be vigilant and inform KEBS upon encountering any product suspected to be substandard through a toll-free number. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
The Cooperative Bank of Kenya has signed a 750 million shillings loan portfolio guarantee agreement with the Africa Guarantee Fund to increase financing of green projects being undertaken by small and medium-sized enterprises. The cash will enable Coop Bank to increase financing to micro, small and medium-sized enterprises and promote emerging corporates in Kenya that are involved in green energy and solar installation projects.
The Cooperative Bank of Kenya has secured 750 million shillings loan portfolio guarantee agreement from African Guarantee Fund to finance such by small and medium-sized enterprises. During the signing of the deal, Coop Bank Director for Corporate and Institutional Banking, Jacqueline Waithaka, revealed that the challenge banks and other financiers face in financing of solar energy regards the kind of securities that customers offer as collateral for credit. In addition, she says solar panels and inverters are not preferred as security because they cannot be easily liquidated in case of a loan default. Experts believe energy costs remain one of the heaviest input costs for many small businesses, and thus financing green projects is seen as a way of having a large positive impact on MSMEs involved in reducing the cost of doing business, thereby making them more competitive. On its part, the African Guarantee Fund Director of Business Development, Frank Adjagba, said the partnership took cognizance of how sustainability improves the quality of life and protects the ecosystem and preserves natural resources for future generations.
That is how we wind up business news for tonight. Sports Update is up next with Richard Bunga. Have a good night.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya kibeti, bonyeza *811*962#.
Haki umefanya vizuri sana kunifikia hii simu sasa. Nimekuwa na stress kutoka asubuhi kabisa. Na ni huyu mtu ambaye alikuwa anapatiana majina ya vitu. Kwani hakutufikiria sisi watu wa Eastern Ukambani? Ni nani alisema ati wife kwa Kiswahili ni mke? na akasema ati handbaka hii inabebwa na mwanamke, handbaka ati kwa Kiswahili ni kibeti. Huku kwetu mke ndiye kibeti.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya kibeti, bonyeza *811 *962 hash, *811 *962 hash.
Good evening, I'm Richard Munga with a daily sports update. Now, FKF Premier League champions Tusker FC have bagged their first title of the season after beating Gor Mahia 8-7 in post-match penalties to lift the FKF Super Cup in Thika. Debutant Brand Brewery, formerly of Kariobangi Sharks, starred for the Brewers, saving a total of 3 penalties. The match was also used to gauge both teams' preparedness for the 2021-2022 season, which kicks off this coming weekend. After a goalless first half between Kenyan champions Tusker FC and Gor Mahia, Kogalo took the lead from the spot through Samuel Onyango after Benson Omala was brought down in the box. However, the lead didn't last long as Tusker, under the tutelage of Robert Matano, levelled the scoreline moments later through a new signing, Ibrahim Joshua. With no team getting the better of the other with the 5 fast regular penalties, Ernest Wendo was to miss Gor Mahia's 10th penalty, a move that saw Tusker win their first trophy of the season after Kirenge converted the last spot kick of the game.
A normal pre-season would be 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. So, we've had 10 days. We're not ready to play by any means. I mean, we should not be here today playing this game. We should be given more time.
Wao vijana wamecheza vizuri sana. Na wale walikuwa wachezi sana na wengi wao ni wageni. Na pia tunakuambia tutabadilisha timu. Kila mtu apate nafasi yake. Ajielewe ni mahali gani yako na udhaifu na mahali gani tunaweza ongezea.
Well, of course, as football fans online have been saying that indeed Ndovu ni kuu. Now, to other matters, welterweight boxer Crispin Muremi humbled Nepal's Dan Bahadil 4-1 on points at the ongoing 58th edition of the World Military Boxing Championships in Moscow, Russia. Super heavyweight Fred Ramogi trounced Ashish Duadi, while heavyweight Frederick Onyango lost 3-2 to Michael Epidling of Luxembourg. Flyweight Kevin Miner was outclassed 5-0 by Juliano Fernando of Mozambique. Lightweight Washington Wandera was also eliminated from this year's championship after losing to Uzbekistan Shanko Abduralov. Kenya is among 36 countries that are taking part alongside boxing powerhouses Algeria, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Meanwhile, Kenya's Sarah Chieng will take on Ruth Chisale from Malawi on the 2nd of October this year at Charter Hall in Nairobi as they battle for the vacant Commonwealth lightweight belt. The 31-year-old believes that she is prepared enough and will register great results as professional boxing resumes in the country.
The bout pitting Kenyan Sarah Chieng against Malawian Ruth Chisale will be the main fight of the day besides other undercut non-title events, which will be the first one in the country since boxing was stopped indefinitely due to COVID-19 pandemic. The 31-year-old Chieng believes lack of competitive bouts since 2019 won't affect her performance against Chisale.
Kulingana na venye tumepiga zoezi pamoja na coach wangu, tulisema tumejiandaa vizuri. So it might be different, but tuko ready to take up the challenge.
Kenya Professional Boxing President Ruben Dolo is optimistic that the bout is a sign of boxing resumption in the country and promised a continued collaboration with their amateur counterparts to develop talents countrywide. Elsewhere, Kenya Boxing Federation has called on sponsors to step up and support amateur boxing ahead of the Grand Tour resumption. According to KBF President Anthony Jamal, development of the sport in Kenya has been hampered by lack of funds for many initiatives such as Dondi Mashinani, which is the only sure way of nurturing more talents. Jamal spoke during the commissioning of a new boxing gym in Umoja, which has a capacity for holding 30 boxers during training.
Imekuwa muda mrefu sana since turudi back kwenye ring na SportPesa amepromise, CEO amepromise kuwa mambo yakienda vizuri, mambo ya COVID ikipungua, tutaresume michezo yetu kama kawaida.
To other matters now, Senegal thrashed rivals Cameroon 4-1 in the first semi-final match, with Mali also thrashing Egypt 4-3 on post-match penalties in the ongoing Africa Deaflympics ball game qualifiers today at the Kasarani Stadium to sail through to the Saturday final with eyes on a ticket to the World Deaflympics Championship that will be held in Brazil.
Elbana Hassan gave Egypt an early lead in the 8th minute before Mohamed Hamar added a second 2 minutes later. Mali proved that they were not giving up despite the scoreline, firing their first goal through Mamadou Traore in the 25th minute, forcing a 2-1 halftime score. In the second half, Moussa Didakeya added a second for Mali in the 57th minute, putting the score on level and sending the game to extra time, with Mali winning the match in penalty shootout. Meanwhile, goals from Tasfir Ibon, Sar Al-Sein, Diegis Mala and an own goal by Cameroon defender Aju Jeudi helped Senegal beat Cameroon 4-1. Cameroon, who finished the match with 10 men, scored their consolation goal through Enoch Simon in the 34th minute. The two teams will clash in the finals on Saturday. Daniel Mwendwa for Prime Edition Sports.
Oh, that's all the time we have for sports tonight. But two quick updates. The Carabao Cup continues tonight. I know you're a huge fan of Chelsea. It's taking on Aston Villa as we speak. United's second meeting in 4 days against West Ham. And FKF, Football Kenya Federation, has today announced that it has terminated its contract with, of course, the official league sponsors, that is Odibet. Well, comes as a, sad thing for the fans is the FKF Premier League is set to start on Saturday, including the County League, which means that the leagues are starting with, once again,
there's something you said after the first story. What was that?
Oh, Tusker, once again. Tusker beat Gor Mahia. Ndovuniku indeed.
Chelsea is the Ndovuniku in this context. Anyway, thank you very much for updating us. It's time for us to wind up Prime Edition. Thank you very much for your responses. And I see a lot of messages coming in for the Siaya gubernatorial aspirant, Charles Owino.
That was a good interview.
And saying, he's quite an outspoken person, he should just go for it. And it will be quite interesting. But for now, I think we need to hand it over to the reggae vibe on the rave.
Hey, of course.
That is what is up next.
Good night.
Good night.
Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www